In a world where leaders make promises but rarely keep them, one man is rewriting history. His name is Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the young, fearless leader of Burkina Faso. At just 36 years old, he has already defied global powers, stood firm against exploitation, and given his people hope. But today, he has shocked the entire world, because in just 1 hour, he and his people planted 5 million trees. This was not just about trees. This was not just about the environment. This was about taking back Africa's future. It all began weeks earlier, when Traoré stood before his nation and declared, "If the world can destroy our forests, then we can rebuild them. If they can steal our resources, then we can plant our future with our own hands." The words echoed through every town, every village, every school. This was not a request. This was a call to action, a challenge, a movement, and the people answered. On the morning of July 15th, 2025, Burkina Faso awoke with one mission: to plant more trees in a single hour than the world had ever seen. From the deserts of the Sahel to the green valleys near the rivers, millions of citizens gathered. They were not waiting for foreign aid. They were not waiting for billion-dollar climate pledges. They were not waiting for empty speeches at the United Nations. They were acting. Every tree planted carried a story. A mother planting for her children's future. A farmer planting to bring back the rains. A soldier planting as a symbol of peace. And Traoré himself digging into the soil alongside his people. When the world heard the news, they were shocked. 5 million trees in 1 hour? Impossible. But it was true. Verified by global environmental organizations, satellites, and international journalists on the ground. While rich nations talk about climate change in air-conditioned conference halls, Burkina Faso, one of the poorest nations in the world, had just set the record. Suddenly, the spotlight shifted. The question was no longer, can Africa rise? The question was, what excuse do the rest of us have? These were not just trees. They were symbols of resistance, symbols of sovereignty, symbols of hope. Because for every tree planted, Traoré sent a message. We will no longer wait for the West to save us. We will save ourselves. The forests that colonizers once cut down, the lands they left barren for mining and profit, were now being reborn. This was not just about climate. It was about dignity. It was about freedom. And soon, Traoré's movement spread beyond borders. From Mali to Niger, from Ghana to Nigeria, people joined in. Millions of Africans, inspired by one act of courage, began planting their own trees. This was no longer a national mission. It was a continental revolution. Of course, not everyone celebrated. Some Western media called it a stunt. Some politicians said it was unsustainable. But to the people of Burkina Faso, it didn't matter. Because for the first time in decades, they were not waiting for approval. They were leading by example. It was not just about fighting climate change. It was about sending a message. Every tree carried meaning. Every root told a story. It was a reminder that Burkina Faso, a country often overlooked on the world stage, is not small. It is strong. The trees symbolized more than oxygen, more than greenery. They symbolized rebirth. For decades, Africa has been seen as a land of extraction, where resources are taken, but hope is often left behind. But Ibrahim Traoré flipped the narrative. By planting trees, he planted dignity, pride, and independence in the hearts of his people. Each tree became a silent declaration. We will not be remembered as victims of exploitation. We will be remembered as guardians of the earth. In the years to come, These 5 million trees will give shade, fruit, wood, medicine, and oxygen. They will fight desertification. They will bring back the rains. They will restore life to the land. But more than that, they will remind every child of Burkina Faso that their hands are powerful enough to change the world. The spirit of Africa is not something that can be measured in numbers, maps, or borders. It is something that lives inside every African heart. It is the strength that rises when hope seems lost. It is the song of freedom sung by ancestors who refuse to be broken. It is the courage of mothers who raise their children in poverty, yet still teach them to dream. When Ibrahim Traoré stood before his people and declared a mission to plant millions of trees, it was more than just an environmental project. It was a call to awaken that spirit of Africa. Because every tree planted was not just a seed in the soil, it was a seed of dignity, a reminder that Africa does not need to wait for handouts or permission. Africa can rise by its own hands. The spirit of Africa is the unity of its people. Farmers, students, elders, soldiers, coming together for something greater than themselves. It is the belief that no matter how many times Africa has been exploited, ignored, or underestimated, there is always a fire that refuses to die. And when millions of hands moved together that day, planting trees, it was not only about greening the land, it was about reclaiming identity. It was about showing the world that Africa is not just the continent of struggle, it is the continent of resilience, of renewal, of rebirth. The spirit of Africa whispers that no storm lasts forever. It reminds us that even deserts can bloom again if we nurture them with love and patience. And in those hours of unity, Ibrahim Traoré's people reminded the world that Africa's spirit cannot be broken, because it lives in the soil, in the skies, in the voices of its children, and in the unshakable will of its leaders. That is the spirit of Africa, unseen but unbreakable. And so, history will remember this day, the day a young African leader shocked the world, not with weapons, not with war, not with speeches, but with trees. 5 million of them, planted in just 1 hour. And with that, Captain Ibrahim Traoré gave not only his people, but the entire world, a new reason to believe. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. The story of planting 5 million trees in just 1 hour is not just about breaking a record. It is about rewriting the destiny of a nation. When seeds touch the soil, they carry with them a promise of clean air, fresh water, fertile land, and a safer tomorrow for generations yet to come. Burkina Faso, once known to the world as a land battling poverty and drought, is now being recognized as a land of resilience and rebirth. This act of unity is planting more than just trees. It is planting hope. Hope that the deserts will shrink. Hope that the rains will return. Hope that young children will grow up breathing fresher air and walking on greener soil. The future now looks brighter, not because someone donated aid from abroad, but because the people themselves stood up and said, "We will create our own destiny." This is the power of ownership, the power of a united people, and the power of a leader who dared to dream beyond the ordinary. And the truth is, this is just that, beginning. 5 million trees in 1 hour is not the end of the story. It is the first chapter of a new era. Imagine what will happen when these trees grow tall, when forests rise where once there was only dust, when food and water become abundant again. The future is not something we wait for. It is something we build. And in Burkina Faso, that future has already begun to take root. A green revolution has been born, and its echo will be felt not just in Africa, but across the entire world. Because when one nation shows that the impossible can be done, others will follow. The seeds planted in Burkina Faso are not just seeds of trees. They are seeds of inspiration for all humanity. And one day, history will look back at this moment and say, "This was the hour." Join the movement. Subscribe now. Your support, Africa's future. Subscribe today. Don't miss the truth they don't want you to hear. Subscribe.